And welcome to the Daily Space Weather. Smasho here, coming at you with some exciting solar upticks from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, as we bring you the most detailed imagery of the sun and most comprehensive space weather you'll find anywhere in the known universe. Elon, why aren't you watching? You would have lost less Starlink satellites on your last launch had you watched our channel and not launched into a geomagnetic storm. This is the past 24 hours from SDO. One species of ionized helium and one species of ionized iron there. Let's go around the horn, as we've got as many as 15 possible named sunspot groups at the moment. An uptick in the radio flux, an uptick in the X-ray flux, and more. Also, huge uptick seismically speaking. Here's your northwestern limb. We got some filaments up there. One of them's been named the Tom Holland filament. Shout out to our viewer that decided to name a filament on Twitter. Make sure you follow us over there. There's the northwestern limb, the Hulk Hogan filament here, still remaining intact at the moment. Here's your southeastern limb. Filaments over there as well. Likelihood of coronal mass ejections here, nearly 100%, as we watch this major uptick occurring. Also, a new active region likely rising down there in the southeast. Right back here somewhere. Here's the northeast. And we've got a pretty large sunspot group there, which looks like it might be ready to produce some activity. Here's yesterday plus today in SDO intensitygram, and you can see some evolution of those sunspots. This one here rapidly growing. I would also note the different latitudes, indicating that there's a long way to go through solar sunspot cycle 25, as we've got these high latitude sunspots that are kind of close to the poles. It's been a feature of solar cycle 25 that's been going on the whole time. Here's your SDO magnetogram for that same period. That's yesterday plus today. Great imagery there from SDO. By the way, if you enjoy the content, please support the channel. Maybe become a member of the Smash team. Send us a few bucks per month to increase the probability these videos will continue to exist, remain publicly visible and free for all to view. Thanks for leaving a comment, Tinman 1057. Good morning to you as well. Smashamash.com/Smash Team. We also send out email alerts when we put out our major video releases. So that is a reason to become a member. There's a gold, a silver, and a bronze membership level. We do send out email alerts for disasters and about our video releases, since we don't trust certain organizations to notify our viewers when the content comes out. So click the post page to see your latest posts, and make sure you log in if you're a member. We've already explained the mechanism we believe underlying the solar sunspot cycles to our Gold Smash Team members. The best value is the Gold annual paid-up subscription. We are also on Patreon as well, so if you want to support us over there, if it's more convenient, drop us a few bucks per month via Patreon. Thanks to everybody who's been donating over there. You can also support the channel by picking up some merch. If you click the Redbubble link below the video in the description, you'll find the products in order of best selling. And of course, we think that you've earned a souvenir, so congratulations on surviving a global scamdemic so far. You've been doing a fine job. So we re-released one of our earliest pieces of merch, which is Smasher Price My First Pandemic. So pick up yourself a piece of merch if you like. Support the channel that way. It's got the smashamash.org website across the global mask. Maybe pick up yourself an acrylic block. Yeah, what about an acrylic block with the Smasher Price My First Scammed Pandemic graphic there, depicting the infantile, pathetic, and ridiculous response to the you-know-what. And how's that mask and the planet been working out? Some people we expect will be walking around with masks for the rest of their lives, because they've believed enough propaganda to continue to wear them, despite the overwhelming evidence that, well, you know what the overwhelming evidence is. And let's get to Croissant Earth here, as there are quite a few volcanoes erupting here at the moment, including effusive activity from Etna. Not sure what's next for Etna. We'll keep you posted. Chikarachi has been producing some explosive activity in an 8,000-foot plume of volcanic ash, flight level 080, over Paramushir Island. Sakurajima, also a 7,000-foot ash plume over Kyushu, Japan. Kerinci, exploding and producing a 13,000-foot ash plume, flight level 130. Epi, the undersea volcano near Vanuatu, has produced additional eruptive activity there, including a steam plume. So, warnings there of a possible tsunami being triggered if a large earthquake does occur. So that's something to consider. Epi could produce a tsunami. Great Sitkin in the Aleutian Islands is producing a slow-paced, viscous, effusive lava eruption. Popocatépetl exploding in central Mexico, flight level 210. It's a 21,000-foot ash plume over Popocatépetl. Santiaguito in Guatemala exploding, flight level 150. Fuego, Vulcanian and Strombolian activity continuing from the summit crater there at Fuego. It's about a 15,500-foot plume volcanic ash production there. It's a flight level 155. Nevado del Ruiz exploding in Colombia, flight level 200. Sabancaya exploding in Peru, flight level 230. Please do not pole vault the caldera. Let's check seismicity next while we're looking at Crescent Earth. So there is the past 90 days. As you can see, we had a 7.8 and a 7.5 in Turkey, and so lots of aftershocks continuing there. Also a weird earthquake in Seneca, New York. It was only a 3.8 magnitude, I believe. Let's just go up the list here. It's going to be a very lengthy list, so we're not going to spend too much time on this. We will report the quakes over a 5 magnitude like this 6.0 aftershock in central Turkey. Remember, folks, any earthquake can be a foreshock. There's also a 5.0 aftershock in central Turkey. What about this 5.0? Also in central Turkey, another 5.0. I'm sorry, that was a 5.1 and a 5.0. Also a 5.3, a 5.2, a 5.0. And let's move somewhere else. There's a 5.0 near Samoa. That one came in at 1732 yesterday afternoon. 5.3 in central Turkey. 5.3 in Turkey. 5.0 in Turkey. 5.1 in Turkey. 5.0 at the East Pacific Rise. There's one near the Pacific / sub-South American continental plate boundaries. Also a 5.5 there near Indonesia. Also had a 5.0 at Guam. A 5.5 in Turkey. So lots of aftershocks there. Also a 5.3 in south of Kamchatka there. Don't forget this 5.4 in Turkey. And also a 5.0 in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. And a 5.4 in Turkey. So lots of Turkish quakes there. Let's get back to space. And this is one of our new favorite wavelengths here. This is the 131 plus 171 angstroms. We just think it's fantastic. And thanks for leaving a comment, Sir Giddy615. Yes, you can get stickers of all different types on the Redbubble shop. All different types of stickers are available there. Transparent, white background, I'm not sure what else. But yeah, certainly stickers are available, and they are of quite high quality indeed. So anyway, that's the past 24 hours and 171 plus 131 angstroms. We love looking at different wavelengths on the channel. Here is our ionized helium alone view. And I would note that this active series of sunspots actually down here in the southwest have the capability of producing major flares and coronal mass ejections. Don't be surprised if you see a big flare come from here and the Hulk Hogan filament, which is this huge filament right here, with its 24-inch pythons, head out into the greater solar system. Also, we've put up 1,700 angstroms today. It's great at showing sunspots in active regions. And by the way, the 10.7 centimeter radio flux is now all the way up to 158 solar flux units. So it's been hilarious watching channels that think that their competition to our channel attempt to forecast solar activity. It's been truly hilarious, as they're wrong over and over again, and then they keep trying to move the goalposts and act like they were right the whole time. It's pretty pathetic. Anyway, there's the 1-year graph to put that in context. Ta-da! The black line up there is the 10.7 centimeter radio flux, now up to 158 solar flux units. And if you're a new viewer, a solar flux unit is 10,000 joules of radio flux density. It is the most proportional data set to sunspot number. As you can see, this rise in the sunspot number accompanied by a rise in the radio flux. There's also some proportionality to the X-ray flux to that. We won't worry about that at the moment. Taking a look at the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here, no geomagnetic storms or unrest are forecasted here, although we are expecting a mild CME strike mid to late day on tomorrow, February 8th. So it might not be very detectable, as there is a coronal hole high-speed stream expected to arrive in earnest as well. We'll be keeping an eye on that. And when I say ion, well, pardon the pun. Next, the planetary K-index is currently at 3.33. So geomagnetically calm conditions. And Sir Giddy 615, I have no idea what the antipode of Turkey is, and I don't really care. Next, magnetohydrodynamic pressure around planet Earth for the past 4 hours. Now, the spacecraft at Lagrangian point 1 have been detecting some significant variations in the solar wind. That's what you're seeing depicted here in the space weather modeling framework imagery. The past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. Earth's magnetic moment from the ground should also include some significant variations there in Earth's B field. Geospace delta B, referring to changes to Earth's B field. It'll show you the most likely places to see the aurorae. Also, power line induction, railway and pipeline induction, etc. So that's the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground depicted in nanotesla, magnetic flux density. And let's move on to the real-time solar wind. So again, big variations recently happening here in the solar wind. Let's see, that's the Discover spacecraft shown here in blue. This blue line down here, that's the Discover. And you can see wild variations happening here in the solar wind density, where it's going from about 6 protons per cubic centimeter down to 0.2 protons per cubic centimeter. Also, I would note that this high-speed stream only saw an increase of the solar wind density of about 13 protons per cubic centimeter there. A very weak increase in the solar wind density. This coronal hole high-speed stream could be largely missing Earth and Lagrange point 1, where it's actually measured. We don't see any big variations in the magnetic field up here in the top pane. Current conditions showing up as 518 kilometers per second, which is an elevated solar wind speed, and solar wind density about 4 protons per cubic centimeter. It's pretty weak so far, this coronal hole high-speed stream. We'll have to keep watching that to see if anything interesting occurs. Next, looking at some magnetic data, starting with the GOES magnetometers, as they measure the magnetic field around planet Earth from their geosynchronous orbits. And pretty smooth readings here, considering a coronal hole high-speed stream showing up, again, making it look pretty weak. Next, we'll look at the heliospheric current sheet. There is a sector boundary coming, and that would be in the form of the North Pole-oriented current sheet. Yes, the solar plasma. It's polar. At the moment, Earth is in a South Pole current sheet, but there is a North Pole current sheet headed this way, and it looks like it is just about to arrive at stereo A here. So, North Pole current sheet making its way around. There's the latest image. Excuse me. Here's our line of sight field plot depicting the solar B field as the south solar polar field is rotating out to the west and the north solar polar field is rotating in from the east. Let's take a look at coronal holes next, as they are a super important feature of solar cycle progression. North Pole current sheet headed this way, along with some North Pole oriented coronal holes and some significant activity in the northeast as well. So we're about to leave the South Pole and enter the North Pole, yes. So here is the past 24 hours in SDO 211 angstroms. high-speed wind that we're currently seeing, likely from this coronal hole right here, of South Pole orientation. Again, these over here are North Pole orientation. And let's move to sunspots, as there are lots. And if you think the sun's shutting down, all of the data refutes your hypothesis. And when all of the data refutes your hypothesis, folks, guess what you ought to do? Abandon your hypothesis. And if you're watching YouTube channels that are full of crap, abandon your YouTube channels that are full of crap. I would note once again that our thumbnails contain more information along with our titles than entire channels' repertoires of content. Quote, content, end quote. AKA crap. Yeah, there's a lot of crap on YouTube. So here's a sunspot situation showing as many as 15 possible sunspot groups there. Let's see. Do we have any new ones to get named? I'm not so sure about that. We will take a look at high-res imagery. There are too many to keep track of here, but check it out. We did have the ones named that we talked about yesterday. They did decide to name those two groups, 3215 and 3216. By the way, 3213 has grown significantly since yesterday. Many different spots where we could expect to see major flares. So here's some animations of that. SDO continuum plus 131 angstroms to show the bright spots. We'll zoom in a little bit here. More spectacular imagery. And interestingly enough, you can see these umbres spreading apart here. Great plasma bridge there forming between them. Real obvious on 131 angstroms. So major uptick here in the past few days. The sun, it's not shutting down. And solar cycle 25, it's a significantly larger solar sunspot cycle and radio flux cycle than solar cycle 24. Next, relativistic particles. And there you have the past 3 days of proton flux, which is flatlined. We've seen an increase here in the X-ray flux now. We're back at a C-class background X-ray flux level. So don't be surprised to see M or even X-class flares, as we've got some significantly magnetically complex sunspot groups, especially in the northeast and the southwest. Also, these groups down here look like they're picking up in steam right now. We're seeing activity increasing there. Again, don't be surprised to see an M or even an X-class flare in the next, I'll say the next 12 hours. So there's 94 angstroms the past 24 hours. Let's add 131 angstroms to that. There's 94 plus 131. And we've also got 131 all by itself. So there's 131 alone. That is part of the extreme ultraviolet light spectrum. And let's take a step back and see what's going on above our heads in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. We've recently brought up a new star chart. We're now using skyandtelescope.org's great star chart. That's what's going on above Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania at the moment. And if you click the Now button, you'll see the latest. Of course, we've got the moon in a setting mode over there, over near the constellation of Leo. And we've got Mercury rising ahead of the sun. If you've got clear skies and low light pollution and a low horizon, you might be able to spot Mercury there ahead of the sunrise. And let's do a solar system forecast next. Mercury, as it's making its way back around to the populated portion of the solar system, Earth is making its way into a very unpopulated portion of the solar system. Here's your 1 week forecast. This is where things are today. And there's where things will be on the 14th. We will have a crescent waning moon on our way to the February new moon. Next, some coronagraphs, as we're always interested in coronal mass ejections. There is yesterday's imagery from George Mason University. At least one significant CME happening there. And here are today's frames, 24 additional frames for you there. And let's do a quick analysis of this. It didn't look like it was earthly directed, but let's see what we've got from stereo A anyway, and also Soho Lasco C3. So unfortunately, we've got the data ends right at the end of the day yesterday for stereo A. It ends at 23:23. So let's just fixate on Soho Lasco C3 here for a moment. I don't see anything resembling a halo. What do you think? I don't think those CMEs are earthly directed at all. Let's take a look at some 24-hour videos here to see if we see anything we've missed. It looks like no additional earth-directed CMEs at the moment. Here's a slightly more zoomed-in view. Sometimes you can see the filaments leaving in 304 angstroms. Indeed, there is one of those right up here right up there in the northeast. Great composite imagery there to give you the big picture about things and cite facts. All right, some of the best views of nature you'll find anywhere are on our channel. So here is our last imagery from Udaipur, India. This is actually the most recent that we could find at the moment. It's a little bit blurry, maybe a little cloudy in Udaipur. So this is named the Tom Holland filament. We've got the Hulk Hogan filament down here, and I think we've got at least two more that ought to be named, this one here and this one down here. So if you want to name that filament, make sure you join us on Twitter. It's the only place where you can name a filament. You can't do it in the YouTube comments or even on the Smash forum at smashamash.com/forum. When it comes to space weather, filaments matter, so name that filament. Just leave a comment. We'll retweet if you want to mark up the image and point at what filament you're talking about. Feel free. You can also find a link to our Hemp Lucid free gummies giveaway. It's a pinned tweet on the Twitter feed. You can find links below the video to the Hemp Lucid shop, also to the Twitter page. You can find it on smashomash.com. And let's get back to space once again. Here is the past 24 hours of SDO 171 angstroms. The house favorite wavelength and also one of the crowd favorites. 171 angstroms is definitely spectacular and does not disappoint. We'll let that 24-hour SDO video play through one more time and then see some more recent data. So here are the past about 2.5 hours from the AGOS 16 SUVI with its fantastic wide field of view, great at showing coronal mass ejections, filament collapses and prominences. This area down here is looking like it's getting quite unstable, so don't be surprised to see large flares. Also an active region rising down here, likely additional sunspots as we see a solar conflagration continuing. And for all of those folks out there who were hoping to see zero sunspots for like years in a row, it's not happening. So abandon your nonsensical hypothesis. Just do it. You've painted yourself into a corner. Just come out. We'll overlook the footprints. Don't worry, the paint will dry, and you can unpaint yourself from that corner. Move on. Stop trying to gaslight people about your nonsense. Next, moving into bonus features here. We've got some minor charging hazards here on the surfaces of satellites caused by low-energy electrons in the East Pacific, moving into the Central Pacific, and some more minor surface charging there over the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, Central America, and Mexico. GOES electron flux here remains very low. That's the 3-year chart. There's the forecast model. NOAA expecting an uptick here in the electron flux, and I would say once the coronal hole high-speed stream ends, I would tend to agree with that. No arguments there. Here's the 1-year chart to put it in context. Again, very low levels of electron flux here, near the absolute trough of the operating range. Next, we'll take a look at the layer of the atmosphere where the electron flux is measured, the F layer of the ionosphere. Feel free to pause the video on this frame if you're not familiar with things like electromagnetic radiation penetration of the atmosphere, thermospheric temperatures and molecular concentrations. Here's the vibrational frequency of the F-flare. So as we get closer and closer to our meteorology segment, we get closer and closer to croissant Earth. And so we have the frames that we show here in a very specific order, folks, because we want people to understand the physics of both the weather on Earth and the weather in space. They're completely different things. And no, sunspots do not cause hurricanes. One of the most idiotic things I've heard on YouTube in the past year is that they do. So dumb, so ridiculous, so backed up by imagination and not facts. Anyway, let's bring up the latest image here. We'll also show the anomalygram and major low-frequency anomalies in the southern hemisphere at the moment. So in the past day, huge low-frequency anomalies and wild swings of low to high-frequency anomaly there, especially centered around the South Atlantic anomaly, which is now back over the South American continent. It just moved a few thousand miles in the past month and a half. No big deal. It just moved from about here all the way over to here, and then back up toward the equator, and then back to where it currently is over the South American continent. If you don't think that's strange, I don't know why you wouldn't think that's odd. I think it's very weird. We covered it on the channel. See our previous videos. This image even makes it onto our thumbnail once in a while because, well, it's odd. I'll just say that. It's odd. Anyway, there's the latest image, 1130 Universal Time ionogram and 1130 Universal Time anomalygram, showing anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. We'll also show the total electron content forecast, the free electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset. Feel free to pause on this frame if you're not familiar with distances in miles to objects in space like the Van Allen belts, etc. Here are the most likely places for GPS errors. And as you may expect, a little bit more chaotic here than it was yesterday with the arrival of the coronal hole high-speed stream. Significant GPS errors continue over the North American continent despite it being wintertime. And don't worry, when we see the electron flux rise to more nominal levels, we can expect to see less errors. GPS errors tend to be focused around the equator at noon. This is the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model, depicting the free electrons from the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt down to your handset at a distance of about 12,500 miles. We'll close out the space weather portion with the latest intensitygram and latest SDO magnetogram. First, let's take a look at these setting regions down here as they are quite magnetically complex. Dag. That is some major spread of sunspot umbrae there. A whole bunch of umbrae all over the place. A series of several different sunspot groups. So lots of plasma suspended by those. Let's also take a look at this recently growing group. It is Beta Gamma Delta class. Based on the field structure. Also, this group up here rapidly grew, so let's take a look at that one. Also Beta Gamma Delta class. And don't forget these groups over here. So let's see. This one's Beta Gamma class. And this one here is Alpha class. Only one polarity umbra there, so only a North Pole umbra on that large group that just rose in the northeast. Anyway, here's your full disk rock back. And let's head to the realm of meteorology. So starting things out here, looking for the world's largest waves. Yeah, I'm a surfing nerd, so I'm always interested in the planet's largest waves. Here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, we like to vary things a little bit when we start out our meteorology segments. So here we go. The world's largest waves are just off the coast of Cape Cod. Yeah, Cape Cod. We've got 32.5 footers out there in the Western Atlantic. And those are indeed the largest waves in the world. Bigger than the waves in the Southern Ocean. Bigger than the waves south of Iceland. Anyway, let's go around the planet and take a look at wind currents. These are the surface winds of the eastern world. A powerful low down here. Check it out. What's the pressure? Not really all that low, but it is well organized, rotating clockwise, as you can see. Jet streams of the eastern world are looking like this. And there is a bit of an input all the way up in the jet stream level with that low. Here are the jet streams of the Americas. And these are the surface winds. You can see that low off the coast of Cape Cod there, creating some high seas indeed. Surface winds of the central world depicted here. Looks like another pretty bad day for Viking raids there, as there are some heavy onshore winds coming from Iceland's west. Here are the jet streams of the central world. Huge anticyclone here over the North Sea. That's an upper-level high-pressure system. You can see that clockwise rotation. And let's take a moment to invite you to check out the Hemp Lucid shop. You can find links below the video to that. You can also find recent product reviews. So check out our playlists if you want to see what you can get, what I think of the taste, see the packaging, and the products. Links below the video. Save some cash by using our link to shop for various different needs, whether it's to support your immune system, to reduce stress, to enhance sleep, or enhance focus. All kinds of different solutions available there. Links on the homepage at smashomash.com. Right there is the Hemp Lucid link. You can also find links to our permanent link to our Discord chat, links to the Redbubble shop, and so on. Also to Patreon, PayPal, and to the Smash Team site. Also Smash merch, the Smasho forum. Help us out with clicks if you're unable and or unwilling to open your cobweb-encrusted wallet and send us a few bucks per month. If you enjoy the content on YouTube, press like, subscribe, share, etc. Tell your friends and foes about the channel. We don't believe YouTube does it, and if we do see 50 likes today, we will stream live. So make sure you press that like button. I mean, yesterday's video had 170 views. Did it get 50 likes? I mean, I'm not so sure. Only 47 likes, folks. So if you're viewing the videos and not pressing like, the likelihood of us putting out a live stream on YouTube drops. So take a moment, press like, and if you've got questions to ask us live during a live stream, it would be optimal for you to do so. We were only 3 likes away. We are only 3 likes away from 50 likes on yesterday's video. Of course, it has to happen in the same calendar date. So anyway, getting back to meteorology, here are clouds and fog over the Americas. See that rotating low there, creating high seas off the coast of Cape Cod? It could be a bad day to be on a boat with Marky Mark and George Clooney. And let's take a look at the weather.gov map. So we'll scroll down briefly to show the key. If your location is lit, click your location. It's too many counties for us to go over. Looks like some high surf around Hawaii once again. And also some warnings there around the Great Lakes. Again, if your location is lit, click your location on weather.gov. Here are some forecasts. This is pressure and precipitation for the next 72 hours based on the GFS model. 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation. Some heavy snows coming to the central portion of the U.S. there. Heavy wet snows, I might add, as this low is about to form over East Texas, East Oklahoma, and West Arkansas. That's going to make its way due northeast. And here we've got our temperature anomaly forecast for the same model. So again, that's a GFS model. Temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius for the next 72 hours. Additional warm temperatures coming to the mid-Atlantic states and most of the eastern portion of the country there. We'll also show precipitation type here. Another one of the great features on windy.com. Yeah, precipitation type. It shows wet snow as green. It shows rain with snow as yellowish green. It shows freezing rain as pink, rain as blue, and snow as white. It's currently snowing in New Mexico. And raining in Michigan. Anyway, precipitation type, one of the many features of windy.com. They got a great mobile app as well. Feel free to download that to your junkware device. Your barely functional junkware, quote, smartphone, end quote, either by Apple junkware or by Google Android junkware. Just some 20-year outdated software technology there at the press of a finger. You can access a bunch of censored information, courtesy of organizations who are trying to destroy the information on the internet and the internet itself, and self-destructing in the process. Anyway, here's lightning, and by the way, it does strike twice. Hopefully it strikes the headquarters of certain fascist organizations and burns them to the ground. Some serious lightning there over Oklahoma, it looks like, in the past 12 hours. Let's see what's going on in real time. From lightningmaps.org, powered by blitzachtung.org. We've got no terrestrial strikes in the U.S., but there are some strikes out there in the Atlantic Ocean. So some thunder showers out there. It's pretty calm as far as lightning goes. And there we see some lightning around Gibraltar in the extreme western Mediterranean. Last but not least, some more real-time data for you about Croissant Earth. We're going to be focusing closer and closer to the U.S. There are the full 50 states of ALSA, the allegedly United States of America. Here are the lower 48. And we seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties, so please bear with us as we reanimate. Yes, I'm the reanimator, folks. The reanimator, yes. We've lost our maps. So just give me a moment here. The dangers of streaming live. Oh, my God. Whew. Here's clouds and fog over the Americas. Well, over a portion of North America, at least. And there is water vapor. An interesting blocking feature making its way down here. That dry mass of air, creating sort of a pathway for this moisture to make its way up to the northeast. Here's your recap. Ground-based U.S. Doppler radar. Clouds and fog at 3.9 nanometer infrared radiation. And, of course, water vapor. It'll be definitive if your Doppler is not being definitive. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Make sure you press like because, again, if we get to 50 likes today, we will stream live on YouTube. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted name in news.